All right, so we need to assess requirement changes also. So how do we assess the requirement changes? The purpose is to evaluate the implications of proposed changes to requirements and designs. What do we need? We need to know the proposed changes, and we need to know the existing requirements also, so that we can know what changes to existing requirements are proposed. And then we need to know the existing design. So what will you have as an output? You have a requirement change assessment done, and you will have a design change assessment done also. So what are the elements here? So you need to assess the formality. There could be a predictive approach and adaptive approach. And then you might have to do impact analysis, wherein you need to review related requirements and components, and you need to assess the impact by considering benefit, cost, schedule, impact, and urgency also around that new proposed change, right? So impact resolution, all proposed changes need to be approved, rejected, or deferred. So this is very important. Approved, rejected, and deferred. All impacts and resolutions are documented and communicated to the stakeholders. Documentation is important. So there could be a template for change request, which is CR, which is used by your organization. So you need to make use of that, and you need to get it signed off by everyone. Of course, before actually getting it signed off, there would be some analysis, which we called assessment of requirement changes, that will go into that document.
Okay.
So what can we use as a guideline or tool? So we should understand what change strategy is. We should have some domain knowledge. We should have a hold of our governance approach that we planned earlier, and we should have legal or regulatory information also. This is important. We should know requirements architecture, and we should know the solution scope also. If we know all of this, we would be able to assess the requirement changes in better way, and we will be able to communicate and store those changes in a better way. So there are certain techniques that can be used to assess requirement changes. Uh, Business case. So of course, it's a technique wherein you have a view of uh, like what are the benefits that you can derive if you meet these business needs, and then you need to make use of document analysis. Of course, you will do some existing document analysis. You need to know how estimation is done. You need to know interface analysis, financial analysis, business rule analysis, risk analysis and management, item tracking, workshops and interviews, decision analysis. So you should know all of these techniques if you're looking to assess requirement changes.
Okay.
So who are the stakeholders? So we have customer, domain SME, end user, operational support, project manager, regulator, sponsor, and tester. So all these stakeholders are involved in assessing requirement changes. You may not involve all of them, but yes, if you really want some help, then these are the ones who are involved out of this. All right. So we are on fifth topic of requirements lifecycle management, which is approve requirements. So you got them prioritized, you got them managed, and you are managing them, and you have also learned how to assess the requirement changes. Now the point is of approving them, getting them approved. So the purpose of getting the requirements approved is pretty straightforward. You need an agreement on requirements and designs. You need an approval on that. So what input will you use? So you need to make sure anything that you are asking an approval for is a verified requirement. Verified means you have ensured that your requirement is complete, it has all the details, it is not ambiguous, it is clear, and it is following all the standards of requirement documentation. That is a major input, and same applies for designs also, because when you have documented the design, the solution, you should have all the flows. They should comply with the requirements. They should be relevant to the requirements. And once you have these inputs, you go out to stakeholders to do what? To get the requirements and designs approved. And that's your output in this in this area, which is approve requirements in this activity. So you need to you need to understand stakeholder roles. You need to have skills for conflict and issue management. You should gain consensus and track and communicate approval. So when you are looking for approval, you need to be aware of all these things. So when you understand roles, who need to be involved in decision making, who are authorized for sign off, conflict, you should be able to resolve conflicts and you should not let them remain open. You need to have skills as a BA to build consensus, make stakeholders understand. You need to facilitate communication between stakeholders. They may have different viewpoints and conflicting priority. You need to obtain approvals from the stakeholders, record their approval decisions, and maintain a change log. That's what happens here. All right. So what are the guidelines and tools that I can use to get my requirements approved as a business analyst? You need to know the governance approach. You need to know how your company, or if you already have a plan around governance approach, then you can refer to that plan to find out how you're going to get the requirements approved. You need to know the change strategy, because if the requirements are getting changed, you need approval for those change requirements. So you need to know what the change strategy is. You need to know what is the interest of legal and regulatory departments under that uh, under the approval process. I mean, any project that you are in, it might be required to have some regulatory approval. Maybe it's not a compliance requirement, but you should always be involving these guys for their sign off, just to see if it is not impacting the company's reputation in any form. You need to have knowledge of some RM tools, requirement management tools and repository, and you should have a view of solution scope. Because if you have a view of solution scope, you will be able to guide the uh, stakeholders in a way that they are able to approve the requirements. You should highlight that this is the impact of the requirements, this is the area which it is going to affect, and please provide your sign off accordingly. So all these details need to go into your approve requirements section. I mean, these are the tools that you can use to do that. All right. So what are some of the ways of, what are some of the techniques to get the requirements approved? So one way is acceptance and evaluation criteria. So this is specifically related to user story. I'm sure in your CSM experience, you might have seen that. And when you write a user story, you also need to detail the acceptance and evaluation criteria by discussing it with the stakeholders. So you would want your approval around this acceptance and evaluation criteria. Right. Decision analysis. So you should know this technique because this will help you to assist your stakeholders in arriving at a decision. Right. So if they want to approve, they might want to do some decision analysis before approving the requirement. And then item tracking technique. It's like uh, maintaining a backlog of items. So you have issues and risks maintained with you. So if you can give the view of those risks and the issues to business, they would be able to approve the requirements uh, in a more efficient manner. They would have a complete picture of what they are approving. Reviews, you should know how to get reviews conducted for the document, workshops. It's pretty straightforward. So some techniques suggested for getting the approval of the requirements. All right. So this is what I just shared, what an acceptance evaluation criteria mean. Unless you want me to focus more on that, or shall we
No,
move on?
that's fine.
Right. There are certain strengths and limitations of that. We know these strengths, so let's see what limitations. Acceptance criteria may express contractual obligation. Okay. Achieving agreement on evaluation criteria for different needs can be challenging. I know this can be challenging, but that doesn't uh, reduces it doesn't reduce the importance of using acceptance criteria. So I think we can live with these limitations, right? What do you think?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Acceptance criteria is good to have. All right. So if you have acceptance criteria and evaluation, so can you tell me the difference between acceptance and evaluation
Acceptance.
and evaluation? Yeah.
Um, So the acceptance criteria is just the outline of what you expect the outcome of the work to be. So it's kind of the checklist of did we accomplish what
So
the
let me reframe my question. What is the difference between acceptance and evaluation?
Well, for me, evaluation is you have to check to make sure that it's correct. You have the quality, you got it right. And then the acceptance is saying that, yes, you did get it right. No? Evaluation is checking the quality and
Okay, so
the correctness, and the acceptance is saying, okay, now that I checked that everything looks, up to standard, is it the acceptance based on, what we previously defined, and there's no extra, things that were added, so it lines up with what our original requirements had asked for.
So you touched upon it slightly, and I'll just make it simple for you because this could be a part of a question. So the difference between acceptance and evaluation is acceptance is thumbs up, yes, or thumbs down, no,
Say
right?
it again?
Acceptance is either you accept it or you don't accept it.
Okay.
It's a yes or no situation,
Right.
right? Either it is thumbs up or it is thumbs
Thumbs up.
down.
Okay.
That is acceptance. Evaluation is not yes or no. It is more of ranking your options. You're evaluating. So let's say option one, okay, as per my evaluation, this ranks 4 out of 5. Option two, this ranks like 3. Option five, I mean, third option, maybe ranking 2. But if you are accepting, I mean, if you talk about acceptance when it comes to these options, option one is either yes or no, option two is either yes or no, option three is either yes or no. So that's what
Okay.
you make sense?
Yes.
Great. All right. So value attributes, usability, security, reliability, scalability, performance, availability of a specific feature, ability to perform specific operations, etc. So these are certain attributes that you can use for accepting a solution or evaluating a solution, right? Testability is user acceptance testing. So as a user, when you do acceptance testing, either you say this I accept this or I don't accept this. So that is the testability. Third element, which is measures, continuous or discrete scale. So this is an evaluation part. So you are evaluating different measures. Correct. So when you write acceptance and evaluation criteria, so you are writing that when would you accept a particular feature and how would you evaluate that feature is ready to be accepted. So that's how you detail down these two things, acceptance and evaluation.
Okay.
All right, who are the stakeholders? Customer, domain SME, end user, operational support, project manager, regulator, sponsor, tester. Okay, so what are the key takeaways for requirement lifecycle management? We have, so we discussed about 5 tasks here, and then we saw trace requirements and designs at different levels to ensure alignment to one another, maintain backward traceability and forward traceability. Then number 3, we saw how requirements can be maintained for reusability. We need to retain requirements accuracy, consistency throughout the entire requirements lifecycle. And then we need to be able to prioritize requirements and design in the order of relative importance to maximize value delivery, assess implications, okay, of proposed changes to requirements and designs, obtain agreement on an approval of requirements and designs for BA work to continue solution construction. And lastly, which is 7th point, analysis, specification, modeling, verification, validation, and communication requirements are performed in other knowledge areas. So we know this. This will come under analysis.
Okay.
Right. Communication of requirements, yes, it's a part of, although this is a part of requirement lifecycle management, but this will happen in other areas also, such as confirming the elicitation, right? So when you're communicating requirements, you have elicited that and you're confirming by communicating. So that's why they're saying it is performed in other areas. Verification, validation, all of this will go into that.